Have you ever spent hours studying for a big test, only to draw a blank when you sat down to take it? Or worked hard to memorize something important, like a speech or presentation, but found your mind going blank partway through? Forgetting what you've diligently studied is an incredibly frustrating experience that most people have faced at some point. The good news is that according to the teachings of Buddha, there are reasons why this happens, and understanding them can help you overcome this obstacle. Buddha's wisdom on the nature of the human mind and how it works provides insights into why we so often struggle with remembering what we've studied. What we call I is just a swinging door which moves when we inhale and when we exhale. Our sense of self and our thoughts are constantly shifting and changing, like a pendulum swinging back and forth. This impermanence makes it difficult for knowledge to take permanent root in our minds. One of Buddha's core teachings is that nothing is permanent or has lasting existence. Everything in our existence is marked by the quality of impermanence or anicca. Our thoughts, memories, emotions, and even our physical bodies are all constantly changing from moment to moment. As the Buddha said, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. When you study and try to memorize something, you are attempting to imprint it as a permanent, lasting memory in your mind. But the Buddha taught that clinging to any permanent self, permanent thoughts or permanent memories causes suffering, because by their very nature, they are impermanent and ever-changing. This is why it is so frustratingly difficult to make memories stick permanently in our minds. We are fighting against the fundamental truth of impermanence. In addition, the Buddha pointed out that our minds are also subject to the quality of anatta, the principle of non-self or no permanent essence. We tend to think there is a solid, lasting I or ego that is the keeper of our thoughts and memories. But the Buddha taught that this sense of self is just a convenient fiction or metaphor. Our mind is like a field in which every kind of seed is planted. Seeds of suffering, seeds of happiness, seeds of ego and negativity. We are a constantly changing stream of consciousness in which thoughts, feelings, and memories arise and pass away without any permanent self to hold on to them. This aspect of non-self, or no permanent essence in the mind, makes it very difficult to embed lasting memories. Another key reason we forget what we study comes from the Buddha's teachings on the nature of perception and cognition. The mind naturally tends to crave sensory stimulation and new experiences in the present moment, while rejecting boredom or anything static like rote memorization. As the Buddha said, the root of suffering is attachment. When we try to force our minds to attach to and cling to specific pieces of memorized information against their fluid, ephemeral nature, this causes a subtle form of suffering or resistance which makes remembering even more difficult. Modern psychology backs up this Buddhist concept. It has been shown that the more we try to force our attention on something in an attached, grasping, effortful way, the more our mind tends to rebel by wandering and forgetting. As the Zen saying goes, you cannot make a horse drink if it isn't thirsty. Similarly, you cannot make an inherently fluid, non-attached mind latch onto information through sheer force of will. So how can we apply Buddha's teachings to improve our memory and retention when studying? Instead of fruitlessly fighting against the mind's nature of impermanence, non-self, and resistance to forced attachment, we need to work with these principles. First, recognize that constantly perfect memory is an illusion, and let go of the craving for permanent, unchanging knowledge. As the Buddha wisely taught, Pain and suffering arise from resisting the laws of nature. Work with the mind's fluid nature, not against it. Don't beat yourself up for occasionally forgetting things. It is inevitable and human. Take breaks while studying to recharge and refresh. Next, make your studying process more engaging and aligned with the mind's love of sensory stimulation. Don't just read notes or rewrite things over and over. Talk out loud, discuss with others, associate concepts with vivid imagery or personal stories. You must battle to become a person able to learn. Make an effort to transform dry information into something vibrant that captures your mind's interest. Most importantly, let go of any sense of an inflated, permanent self that is trying to memorize everything through sheer ego effort. The biggest difficulty is the concept of the self that we sometimes get caught in. The idea that we have a separate self, different from the body and mind. Drop all mental labels and preconceptions and approach learning with a beginner's mind. Gentle, open, non-attached, receptive. As the Buddha eloquently expressed, drop by drop is the water pot filled. Likewise, the wise person, gathering it little by little, fills themselves with good. Adopt a light, patient attitude and trust that true learning happens gradually, not in a desperate frenzy of forced memorization. When you embody these teachings by the Buddha, the frustration of constantly forgetting what you've studied can be released. You'll find that some information sticks better, while some inevitably gets forgotten or distorted, and that's perfectly okay in accordance with the nature of reality. True knowledge and wisdom aren't about perfect memory, but about cultivating the proper understanding of how to engage with the ever-changing stream of life and learning. In the Buddha's teachings, ignorance is the root cause of suffering. Wisdom and freedom come when we understand deeply our mind and the nature of reality. By studying the true nature of your own mind through Buddha's words, forgetting becomes less of a frustration and more an opportunity to deepen equanimity, non-attachment, and insight into the profound yet impermanent dance of life, memory, and learning.